Let's start with a question. Have you ever had a night where everything just went your way? Like, no matter what you did, the universe seemed to give you a wink and say, "Go ahead, champ." Now imagine that. But instead of getting free coffee or hitting green lights on your way home, you're raking in over £1 million from one of the swankiest casinos in the world. That's the real-life story of Niko Tosa, a name that might not ring any bells for most people, but in the quiet corners of high-end gambling circles, it's the stuff of legend. Because Niko didn't just win at roulette, he beat roulette, with science and lasers, in a tuxedo. Let's rewind the clock to the early 2000s and dive deep into one of the slickest, smartest, and most mysterious gambling exploits ever pulled off. So who is Niko Tosa? Here's the thing. Almost nobody really knows. Even 2 decades later, there's no official biography, no interviews, no detailed background info. The guy is basically a ghost. What we do know is this. Niko Tosa is believed to be from Eastern Europe, possibly Croatia, and in March 2004, he and 2 partners, a man and a woman, walked into the Ritz Club, an ultra-luxurious London casino, and pulled off what might just be the most perfectly legal heist in modern history. The Ritz isn't your typical noisy, neon-flashing, slot-jangling kind of place. It's classy. This is the kind of place where you don't just walk in off the street. You need money, manners, and in Niko's case, a mind like a physics professor and gadgets worthy of Q from James Bond. Roulette is supposed to be the casino's golden child. It's pure chance. You spin a ball around a wheel, and it lands on a number. You win or you don't. That's it. So when a trio of relatively unknown gamblers started winning again and again and again, the staff started sweating. At first, they probably thought, hey, everyone gets lucky. But Niko and his crew weren't just lucky. They were surgical. They placed precise bets. They timed everything perfectly. And they were pulling in 6 figures per night, like clockwork. In total, they walked away with £1.3 million from a roulette wheel. That's not luck, that's science. What Tosa and his crew are believed to have done is use physics to predict where the roulette ball would land. Roulette wheels, while designed to be random, are still physical objects. They spin, the ball spins, friction and gravity do their thing. And if you're smart enough, or crazy enough, you can actually predict where the ball will likely land. One member of the team would casually stand near the table and use a modified mobile phone equipped with a laser scanner to track the speed of the wheel and the ball. Nothing too obvious, just quick glances and subtle taps. That data would be sent to a hidden algorithm, likely in the phone itself, or maybe a tiny wearable device. That algorithm would crunch the numbers in seconds: ball speed, wheel speed, angle, decay rate. Before the dealer called "no more bets," the algorithm would identify the most likely section of the wheel where the ball would land, not the exact number, but a specific quadrant, and the team would place their chips accordingly. And boom, the ball would land within that zone far more often than pure chance would allow. We're not talking 100% accuracy, but even a 10 to 20% edge over the house is massive in a game like roulette, especially when you're betting thousands per spin. Back in the 1970s, a group of physics students, known as the U-Daemons, tried a similar approach using a computer in their shoe. It was bulky and glitchy, but it worked well enough to prove the idea was sound. And then there's Gonzalo Garcia Pelayo, who used data analysis in the 1990s to spot imperfections barren. What Tosa did was the evolution of both. He combined data, physics, and portable tech to get an edge, and he executed it in a way that nobody saw coming. Eventually, the Ritz Casino staff started connecting the dots. This wasn't just a lucky run. These players were too accurate. They were betting late. Their chips were landing in the right spot too often. So they did what any proper British establishment would do. They called the cops. The Metropolitan Police came in, investigated, and arrested the trio. They were questioned, their belongings searched, and everyone waited for the big charges to come down. But here's the plot twist. They weren't charged with anything, because, well, they didn't technically break any laws. All they did was observe and calculate using publicly available technology and their own brilliant minds. As crazy as it sounds, the UK had no specific laws at the time that prohibited what they did, so after a brief legal roller coaster, the police had to let them go. And the Ritz? They had to pay out the winnings. As you can imagine, this sent shockwaves through the gambling industry. If a trio of smart players could beat roulette with off-the-shelf tech and a bit of physics, then suddenly every roulette table in the world looked vulnerable. Casinos started tightening security big time. Phones and electronics were banned near tables. Roulette wheels were upgraded, inspected, and balanced more regularly. Dealers were trained to vary spin speeds and ball trajectories to reduce predictability. Surveillance cameras were installed to detect suspicious betting patterns or timing. Basically, casinos freaked out. Niko Tosa didn't just win a bunch of money, he changed the game. After the dust settled, Niko Tosa vanished. No media tour, no tell-all book. Just poof, gone. And maybe that's the most gangster part of all this. He didn't stick around to brag. He walked away clean. To this day, nobody knows where he went or what he's doing. For all we know, he could be living on a private island, teaching physics under a fake name, Wolfheim. Wherever he is, he left behind one of the most fascinating gambling stories ever told. Seriously, how has nobody made a movie about this yet? You've got a mysterious mastermind with a foreign accent, a beautiful accomplice and a slick partner, a high-stakes, luxury setting, cutting-edge technology used for subtle manipulation, a legal gray area and a clean escape. It's Ocean's 11 meets Good Will Hunting, with a dash of James Bond. If anyone in Hollywood is reading this, call me. Okay, let's be honest. You're probably wondering if you could pull off something like this. The short answer? Not anymore. Modern casinos are way more prepared. Roulette wheels are regularly tested, dealers mix things up constantly. Most casinos now ban all phones near gaming tables, and just standing there with a laser-equipped phone would get you booted instantly. And don't even think about trying this online. Online roulette uses random number generators, so there's no physics to exploit. But the takeaway here isn't try to scam a casino. It's this: knowledge is power. Niko Tosa didn't cheat. He learned the system, studied the science, and used intelligence over luck. And in a world that's often obsessed with shortcuts and hacks, he showed that the real edge comes from understanding the game. The story of Niko Tosa is one of those rare gems that blurs the line between genius and outlaw, science and scam. It's a tale that reminds us that sometimes the biggest wins don't come from defying the rules, but from understanding them better. He didn't walk in with brute force. He walked in with brains, timing, and probably the calmest poker face on earth. And when he walked out with £1 million, he didn't just make history, he made a point. Sometimes, the house doesn't win.